videos now because they were told don't use Red Bull videos. All right, we're live. Here we are. Welcome to the Esk8 UK live experience. I am so stoked to be back with you all. It's been a while. Craig Taylor, Esk8 Oz, here on the Esk8 UK live experience, and I am with somebody who I've been hanging out to meet for a long time. You all know her as Sparkly Purple Shoes on Instagram and all the rest of it, from over in WA. Chloe, welcome to Esk8 UK live.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Hi.
It's
good to meet you finally.
Yeah, face to face. Well, electronically per se, rather than just on reels and chat.
Yeah, no, fantastic to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's really good, and it's great to meet you finally as well. Yeah.
Don't worry. There's something big coming up in August, which we'll get to in a little bit, but we'll finally get to meet. But we'll talk about that shortly. Chloe, I want to ask you and people out there probably don't know who you are other than the amazing sparkly purple shoes on a propel going crazy. Where'd you get into e-skating from? I mean, I want to know a bit more about your journey.
You know what? I can actually pinpoint the exact moment I got into e-skating. I could even probably find a video. There was, so I don't know, like I used to ride, like my sister got me into just, like regular street skating when we were teens. And then I think this is fairly common for e-skaters. It didn't touch a skateboard after, I guess early high school. You're sort of like, oh, that's for kids. You're pressured out of it, and then you stop using it, and then you just get on with life and do this and that. And then I was at work, and I have a video off to the side while I'm doing some work, and a video of a guy called Sam Sheffer. He used to work for The Verge, and he was going to CES to test e-skates, and there's a video on the Ego Cruiser. He did the Ego Cruiser on the one wheel in the one video, and just the editing and the video quality and the music that they picked, I swear to God, I must have watched that video 100 times. And I just sort of got obsessed with the idea of finding one of these Ego Cruisers. So I went looking, and I couldn't find one anywhere, but I found a shop in WA that sold e-skates, Action Sports, they're called. Okay, yep, and I went out there intending to buy one of the original Evolve with the one wheel, with the one motors. I think they were called a One or something like that. Yep. And they didn't have any in stock. Quite a while ago. Yeah, it was like 2014, 2015. They didn't have any in stock, but they had a boosted board V2. Wow. And it was a little more than I was planning to spend, but I still came home with it. And, it was the old booster board with the little orangutan wheels and the battery that was, like end of the driveway and back. So
I pretty much gave the shop your spare key to your car just in case you couldn't pay for it, and away you went. And yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so hey Fred. So I used to tell people that, like, because the wheels were so small, every pebble was a death sentence. But you didn't have enough battery to make it to the pebble, so it was okay. So, so I loved that thing, and I rode it quite a bit. But then, I don't know, for some reason, I sort of caved to the pressure. I was, I'm older than probably a lot of other e-skaters, although, a lot of us.
Hang on, go easy.
So on my second ride on the thing, doing it about, 12 Ks an hour, not 12 miles an hour for the Americans, 12 kilometers an hour, which is probably like 8 miles an hour. I broke my ankle legitimately at that speed. Wow. I don't even know how. I fell off really slowly, didn't even think I was hurt. And a few hours later, I'm like, I can't walk. So I had to go to the doctor, and they were sort of asking what a 40-year-old woman was doing on an electric skateboard. And
living.
And then I got back on it 2 weeks later with the broken ankle and fell off and broke a rib. So I had to go back to the same doctor and explain that I did it again. But then I sort of loved it, but for whatever reason.
40-year-old person, I suppose you got the whole, have you got a death wish? You should be giving this up. These are for kids. What are you doing? All
of that stuff, yeah. So after about a year, I did ride it a fair bit. I rode it to work all the time, and I loved it because my work was like a kilometre from my house at the time. And then I sold it, and I didn't ride for a while. But a few of my friends started buying Endeavours.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I really miss this. I want to get back into it. So I got a, what did I get? I got a GTR 2, Evolve GTR 2. And I rode that thing every day for about a month, maybe 2 months. And then I got hit by a car, which ran it over, which
Oh,
broke the same ankle again.
no.
Yeah.
Same doctor?
So, no, I don't even know where that doctor was. Different doctor. Um,
Probably a good move.
and yeah, so I got a Hadian as a replacement because their insurance had to replace the board because he went through a stop sign and so all that sort of stuff.
Super
Um,
old. Love it.
yeah, so I rode the Hadian a lot. But then my friends were all riding customized Endeavours with massive, like 12S12P batteries, going on like 100, 150k rides. And obviously with a stock anything, but a stock Hadian, you couldn't go that far. So
No.
I got an Endeavour and sort of joined the Propel riding group.
In honor of
And
you today, I
yeah,
have done in
excellent.
honor of you today.
Yeah, yeah, I did notice that actually. Yeah, and so I've been riding that for ages, and recently got the Vector to sort of
Which we'll talk about more in a minute
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
So that's sort of the
you're
story.
riding progress from the early days boosted, or not early days boosted, but back in the day
Yeah,
of the boosted right through Evolve and all the way through, which is a story of a lot of older e-skaters, like a lot of older generational
mm,
e-skaters. I mean, I'm 53. You wouldn't, people are shocked when they say you're in your 50s and you're e-skating. I don't
yeah,
care. I know people in their 60s e-skating, and I think good on them. The thing is, just level up with your protection, with your safety gear, because as you get older, you do hurt yourself a little bit more. Things give way a bit more. But I mean, racing. I mean, you started on the was it the T race track that David Bond put together online. You and Taz and all the rest of it over in WA got mixed up in that, and so you've been doing that for quite a while now. And what is it rightfully to say? Are you obviously the grid came along as well from Taz, but are
yeah.
you leading the grid now for females e-skate?
I mean, by default, I'm first and last for females.
Grid.
Fir-
Okay.
First and last because there's only one. Um,
So Dina and Mia and all the rest in the US haven't actually taken on the grid yet for the time trials.
no, they haven't. So, I mean, Dina's latest time on T is from 2023, so it's pretty old. So,
Oh,
um,
she best
bearing
get
that
back
in
on.
mind, yeah, I mean, I recently beat her time on T, but again, that's from 2023. So if she hopped on now, she would annihilate my time, I'm sure. But I'm working on it. I'm going to go hit it after this interview. I'm going to go back out and do some T race today and try and get down into a lower number. Try and I don't know.
So
It's nice to get a PB.
for you, and I know from me it's different, but from you, where did the need to think about racing came from? Is it because you're mixed up with all the WA crew and racing over there, or is it just an inclination you've just gone, I want to try this next part?
Yeah, it's pretty slow progress for me. I think
Not at all.
I
Look,
was at a
stepping into racing is a whole other world of e-skating, and it's quite intimidating for, I mean, an
yeah.
older person who's raced other toys in the past into this
Yeah.
world. It is very intimidating, and I've spoken to Scott Davies, who's also going to be at the nationals in the novice crew. So you and me and Scott are probably going to end up racing together because we haven't had a lot of race experience, but we've had a lot of riding experience. So
Mm.
for me, it's pretty intimidating, and I imagine from you. I mean, the guys that you ride with and practice with, some of them are really intense pros. So it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So
confronting.
yeah, I think, I mean, if you're coming into it as someone who's never done it before, and your first experience of getting on a track is with Dylan and Taz and Jeff and people like that, um,
Ah,
it's something to compare yourself to. You're not just a little bit behind them; you're monumentally behind them. So I can see where that would be pretty intimidating. But
yeah,
they're a really welcoming and friendly and open sort of bunch of people. So I
yeah.
mean, again, I can remember the exact pathway I got into it. I go every now and then to cybersecurity talk
Yep.
in the city, which is really just an excuse to go out for drinks, honestly. So we
Find
go
the right.
have yeah, we have like a half-hour talk on some topic, and then everyone goes to the pub. And there was a guy there, and he had a customized Haitian as well. And he was talking to me and saying, "Oh, there's a race down at the Elizabeth Quay. It's a part of the city here in Perth this weekend." So I went down and watched it, and it was pretty interesting. That's sort of the first time I'd ever seen or heard of racing
Mhm.
skateboards.
Yep.
And somehow from that, I sort of got introduced to the people and started helping off to the sidelines and went to a few of the intro to speeds, but I never timed myself, and I never sort of, as you say, it's too intimidating. You're like, oh, my times are going to be so bad. So probably for the first year I was going, I never timed myself once. And it's
Yeah.
not, for anyone
But
listening, you don't improve until you start having metrics to measure against. So,
yeah, but let me come back a step as well, and it's the most important key of all of this is that you went there and felt welcome, and
yeah.
you were embraced rather than intimidated, and
Mhm.
everybody got around you and supported you, even though you weren't timing yourself. You were there and you were involved, and you put in some effort, and the crew over there that you've got is growing continuously now, which is amazing. I mean, every time I get online from a few years ago to now, I mean, when you had that the Esk8 Q City race, whatever it was, to now, I mean, your whole group and dynamic is growing exponentially, and it's
Yeah.
it's that embracing of new people that I think the community in the sport, and even just community riding, needs to grow, because I just I look at anybody coming in, it is confronting, and it is, oh, these things go so fast, but they don't need
Mm.
to. And I think the reality is, and I've seen Taz and Jeff have their kids out there and they're riding, and they're like, obviously, guys, we're gonna have the kids out, so slow down, take it easy. We're gonna have some intro stuff going on with some new riders and testing out some of the Vmax boards and the other boards that you got there, just to have that, that really nice, comfortable feeling that everybody can have a go and try. And I think that's amazing for you to have that, just that ability to go out there and just practice without having any pressure that you have to time yourself to start with. And I think that's the most critical part of this is come and
Yeah.
play. Come and play is the
Yeah.
opportunity thing. And then handbrake for a little bit. We're gonna have the crazy guys go out there and do some stuff, and then they're gonna rest because they need to cool down their tires and preserve their tires because the tires are expensive. And I know that any more
Yes,
than
they are.
6 or 8 laps on a real track, you're burning your tires out. So you slow down, let them cool down, and come back again. So I think it's amazing that they give you that ebb and flow of, all right, everybody who wants to go and have a play, this is not a fast session, and
Yeah.
that's awesome for you. But that's allowed you to get the confidence and the comfortability now to move into it with open arms. Still, everyone's behind you. Chloe, have you tried this? They're probably talking about your
Mm.
board and other things. For you, it's awesome, but for the community to see that, and I think it's imperative to see the community understand. And I mean, the people that have got behind me since I've got my V6 and I've started showing it, they're like, "Oh my
Mm.
god, Craig, how you going? How you coping with it? Is it?" And I'll be honest, any race board, and I'm going to talk to yours in a second, horribly intimidating, just the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And the Stooges have that open gear noise that adds to that
oh yeah,
intimidation
oh yeah.
too.
It
Yeah.
scares me being on it, thinking someone's coming up
Yeah.
behind me, and I'm actually one standing on it. So I know when we did
Yeah.
Vegas and Red Rock and stuff, and you hear Morgan Brady and everything coming up behind you with stooge boards, and you're just cruising at 20 mile an hour, and they're coming up behind you at 40 mile an hour. You think, oh my goodness, hang on.
Yeah. How do
Oh.
I get out of the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that brings me to racing and these guys. I'm on the wrong side of the camera. Um,
Yeah.
how did all that come about? I mean, I know you are propel mad. Your purple sparkly boots on your Endeavour. You are out there killing it on a board that is not really made for racing. Let's be honest.
It's definitely not. No. No.
But you're out there
Um,
killing it, having fun, and all of a sudden, wow, this new opportunities come through.
how did it come about? I mean, I just sort of I just messaged them and said, I'm genuinely buying a race board. I'd like to know if Propel has something in the works. Otherwise, I'm buying something from someone else. And they were looking for an avenue to get some the board is something that they're putting a lot of effort into to make sure it is right. It is the right board for races. So they wanted some more feedback. And as you said, there's this community here, so it's an opportunity for Propel to get some feedback on not the electrics, because I don't have the real, there is no real electrics, I suppose, at this point in time, but I don't have them. But the mechanics of the board, the trucks, that sort of thing. So, if you're going to build these things, build anything in-house, you're limited to who you've got in-house to test it. So it's an avenue for them to open up to a wider pool of skill and get feedback from people who are used to Stooges, 3-links, people who are used to DIY boards, people who are used to other things, and say, what do you like? What do you want to change? So we've sort of got a guinea pig environment here where we're testing the board and we're feeding back and saying, well, okay, this needs to be changed, or it'd be better if this could be done, and giving them that feedback through the process.
And so I think I've done that with a few different people around the world, and I think they've given them not production boards. They're not boards that will be released to the public. They're just prototype boards that they can give feedback on, which I think is the appropriate way to do it when you're going down this path. I mean, there are other race boards out there. I mean, I've got where is it up here? I've got the Radium, which Dylan runs.
See the Mac one there. Yep.
Yeah, I've got my Stooge and so forth as well. So there are boards out there that are on the track now. I mean, the Radium was never supposed to be there. The Stooge was built for it, but there's the Meepo Hurricane out there now as well. So there are boards coming into this zone quite heavily. And I think Jarvan, one of the things when I met Jarvan at Esk8 a few years ago, and then when he released the Sigma with that beautiful little remote, his whole world was, I am not going to release anything unless it's perfect for everybody, the community and the riders and everything. So for rideability, I think it's really a smart move to allow you guys and other people around the world to do it. But it's also shows the impact on the community that you have that you probably don't even realize until you connect to things like this, and you have, I mean, people reaching out and watching your videos and thinking, oh, maybe that's a board for me. That's the community getting behind you as a rider as well. And I think you've got recognition in the community because we're all sitting watching and seeing what you're doing and taking notice, which is amazing. And thank you for all the work that you do. And I'm gonna jump sideways for a second.
Yep.
Oz PEV, Ezra.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it. I can't not.
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
For those of you who don't know, Chloe not just organises a whole heap of stuff that goes on in the back of Ezra and Oz PEV for everybody. And Chloe, you're on the board as well now. Is that?
Yeah, the committee. Yeah.
Sorry. And for those of you who don't know, she feeds everybody as well. Like, come on. I've heard about some of the cakes that Chloe brings along, and I'm a little jealous that I'm not there, to be quite honest. But I think cakes, support, and I'm going to get into something else which some of you might know about and some of you don't know about. Chloe's tech knowledge. You have a real say in the community in WA for racing and riding. You're part of the organisation that keeps Australia moving forward in this direction. I mean, AusPEV is the key brand in Australia for e-skate racing, and also becoming a voice for the e-skate community nationally as well, which is amazing. Talk about how that all. I mean, you've obviously been mixed up with the appropriate people, but to where we're sitting now, what does that look for you every day?
You know what? It's actually a fair bit. It's a fair bit of stuff going on. There's always something. There's always a fair bit to do. But we have a great committee. There's we've obviously got Taz, we've got Lachlan or Lockie. Yeah, we got Pete. I think you've had Pete on the show before as well. We've got Chris, who's one of the absolute top EDC riders in Australia, if not the world as well. So we've got a really well-rounded, enthusiastic and great team working on it.
Committed team.
Yeah, really committed. There's a chat that we're in that's pretty active, and there's just always another thing to solve and another challenge on the horizon, and another how we're going to deal with this and how we're going to deal with that.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting here
yeah.
this morning in the Oz PEV chat for Coffs Harbour for the Nationals, which we'll get into
Mm.
a second. I think there was 39 messages in like 20 minutes this morning. I'm like, I can't even. It's too much for my brain to handle right now. I got too much to go. I'll get back to that later. But I can only imagine what your chat's like if that's the front chat. What the back end, the back of
Yeah,
house must
I
be
haven't
like.
actually looked at that one today. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, Coffs Harbour's it's on the other side of the country for us, so it's exponentially more to manage.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah. Look, it's how I as to how I got involved in it. I don't actually remember. So I
I
just
suppose
did at
at
some
this
point in
stage
time.
it doesn't matter.
Probably just by yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So this yeah,
I
go
want to
on.
congratulate you on the effort you're putting in, and from somebody within the community, looking into what you guys are doing for us all. I just want to say thank you because I just can't thank Oz PEV and Ezra enough for going the hard yards, doing all the insurance stuff. I mean, you guys have got paperwork and everything, and I know you're still working through paperwork with Coffs Harbour at the moment, but
Yeah.
um, if you're out there and you don't know, have a look on the socials. OzPEV had organised with Jay Pierre and a couple of others, Chris Baff and a few others um, up in Queens, or sorry, up in New South Wales just yesterday.
Yep.
Yesterday,
Yep.
just yesterday had a practice day, and there was wet and it was raining. They took out a couple of mountain boards and a couple of EUCs. Still did a track run. Still had a look around the amenities to see if it was ready and in the condition that you guys need it to be, and make sure they could organise
Mm.
it for the big event in August. So I just can imagine. I can't imagine the effort that happened. Now, also, I don't know how you guys orchestrated it or whether it just happened to be, but NBN 9 News was actually there yesterday and actually did an interview. So if you haven't seen it, get on the socials. Wha- Chloe, what happened? What the hell? I mean, we need more
Yeah. Look.
publicity. You guys, I don't know how you just magically called Merlin to get some sort of wizardry happening. I don't know.
Oh, look. We're really lucky that we've got people in the group, like Taz in particular, that are just so super active and always on top of everything and driving the next thing forward and thinking about what can we do next and what's going to happen, what could go wrong and how can we prepare for it. So yeah, look, and then obviously Jay was interviewed, as you said, by NBN, did a really good job. It was really
Awesome.
good. I watched the video of that last night, and yeah, absolutely thanks to him. He's done a really nice interview there.
Sensational.
Yeah,
But I mean, he reached out to what, 20, 30, 40 different tracks up there, up in New South
yeah,
Wales and
he's
Queens.
he's been really active over on your side of the
Super active,
country.
supportive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
speaking to tracks and finding locations, and yeah, so Coffs Harbour is I think the location is it's pretty. In some ways, it's really good. It's in between, where you are, and I think there's quite a community in Queensland.
Yep.
Um, Yeah, so it's less of a travel, I suppose, for you guys than coming to WA, although you do need to come to WA for the next one we have here. Got
Yeah, look, it's always on the agenda. As you know, for those of you who don't, I'm flying out in 2.5 weeks to China for a Esk8 event over there, and it's you can unfortunately when you work and you've got normal life, which is really annoying, right? You've got
yeah,
to
isn't it?
prioritize the other stuff. Now, those of you who don't know Chloe, I'm going to come back at a different angle now. Park Oz PEV, you're all doing an amazing job and keep doing it because we love it. Can't wait for nationals, which Chloe and I may be on the track together, depending on how
Yeah,
our times and how much progress we get, I suppose. With Scott Davies, so look out, Scott.
yeah, I know. I'm worried.
Oh,
I'm going to come last.
no, don't be worried. We're gonna have a ball. I don't care who comes last. It could be me. It probably will be me. But I'm gonna take it in my strides and I'm gonna go and have fun. I can't practice where I
Yeah,
am. There is no large enough area that's flat enough and clean enough for us to use here.
yeah,
So we're in basketball courts and the smallest car parks you've ever seen. I mean,
yep,
it's just pathetic. There's nowhere and no one will allow us to do anything. So we've got to be really careful. And it's basically
yep,
basketball courts, netball courts now. So anyway, come back
yep,
the other side. Chloe, you're a bit of a I'm a robotics and automation engineer, so I'm a bit of a
yep.
techie, but you're next level techie. So where do you sit in that? nerdy techie world that I live in as well. Where are you in that
Yeah.
spectrum?
So I actually by degree, I'm an electronic engineer. So I did electronic engineering.
All hail the
Yep.
smart and the intelligent people.
And I did that in physics at uni, but I've never actually worked as one. And that was a long time ago. So I'm in IT, security, and compliance and that sort of stuff. But I do a lot of development. So I think when I first started talking with the ESRA crew here, they're having a lot of issues with timing at races. It's a headache. It was a fair bit to manage. So I thought, oh, well, I'm looking at the timing equipment. I didn't really know anything about it. You don't know what you don't know when you and I thought, oh, I'll just make my own. So I looked around and thought, well, what have I got that I can make my own with? I thought, well, what's everybody got? Because I didn't want to build something that was expensive, and I didn't want to build something that required people to have anything. Because what I noticed when I first started hanging out with the ESRA people was that you had some really dedicated races here in WA, and you had some really dedicated races in Queensland. And the first thing I thought was, well, these guys can't compete against each other, because I guess for the international audience, that's sort of the distance from, I don't know, LA to New York. It's a long distance, right? So they're not exactly going to hang out and see each other often. So I wanted a way where they could race in real time together. And I thought, well, what has everybody got? Because, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't realize that the need for the super high precision. So I thought, everybody's got a smartphone. So you can't use the GPS on the smartphone because it's not precise enough. What about the camera? So I made a thing that would pick up your color as you cross the screen, and it would time you every time your color went past the screen. So you'd set your camera up on the ground, and if your bright green or blue or whatever went past it, knew you were going past, and that was your timing. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. I took it to Intro to Speed, and every single person's wearing black. And I went, well, yeah, didn't really think that through, did I? And I thought, well, they could all wear a coloured vest, and everyone was like, I'm not wearing a coloured vest. So I was back to the drawing board. So they have, actually I've got some on the desk because we're going to go to high voltage tomorrow, these transponder things and lap timers and so on. So this is a unit that people would have seen. It's just a infrared unit, and then you've got these infrared things, and each one's got a code, and it goes past, and as it goes past, it takes your time. But it's a bit cumbersome to work with, and you've got to program everybody in to the app. Yep. And then you've got to get that time out of the app. But at the end of the day, this is just what they call Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE, and it just transmits a beacon as people come past. So I just hijacked that signal with a Python script on my computer, and that's all I sort of needed. So now as it comes past, it's still doing the timing, but I'm sort of stealing that information from it as it goes past. And then I figured I could just, well, I guess as you said, you do automation. I do a fair bit of automation at work as well. And it's always, well, okay, what can I do now? What can I add now? What can I add now? So I added a screen. Yeah, that's right. So I added a screen to the laptop to show people their times. And then I thought, well, what if you're not here? What if you want to see it somewhere else? So then I put a website with an API, and then it pushes that times to that. And then I thought, well, what if you want a live stream? So then I figured out how to make my own live stream. We're using some software you were telling me about earlier today before we started. And I thought, again, you don't know what you don't know. So I just wrote my own live streaming software. And then, so then I thought, well, what about if we overlay the time like you have in the Formula One? You've got the positions and the lap times and everything. So I sort of figured out how to do that. And then took it from there. But then the problem with these things is that they're great indoors and on a thin track, but on an outdoor track where there's a lot of sunlight and heat, and the track's very wide, they're not good enough. So off to the GPS, things like race boxes and draggies, and I can see the app there has been shared. So it all came back from this idea that what if you could compete with each other or share your information with each other in real time, and have a sort of training app yourself. So I've made this thing, which is a work in progress that I work on now and then, and it allows people, I guess, the idea behind it fundamentally is to help people get into racing.
Yeah.
because I know what it's like to come along and you don't know anything. And people talk about grid race or T race or whatever, but how do you set that up yourself? And then,
Yeah.
you got to take a
Yep.
tape measure and all of these things. So this Apple, you know, at the end of the day, you sort of do need a high precision GPS if you want to do it properly, but it will join to Racebox for that purpose, and then it will tell you exactly where to put the markers and
Yeah.
where the start line is, and then it's all just done for you. And then the next step from here is it'll share your time to a common website, and you can do real time racing and see a GPS map overlay of where each person is on the track. So if you're
Yeah.
doing T race together or on the other side of the world, you could do it in real time together and watch each other as you go around.
Which is
Or I
just
could overlay it on a live stream.
insane and
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, and I think for our community, when you buy a race box or you buy a draggy and promo draggy, awesome. They're sponsoring. I believe they're probably going to be a full sponsor or something again of OzPV.
Yep.
I mean, I've got both units, so I'm lucky enough to have acquired them over the last couple of years, but I just only started recently using them. They are quite an amazing little unit, either of them as well. But to be able to pull other information and to put people together who are practicing, who are good mates around the world. I mean, as you probably know, Chloe, I've got Scott in Queensland who I'm great mates with, and we talk skating every other day. I've got Drew in the US and Thomas, my wolf pack, in the UK. So
Yeah.
if we were able to collectively, what you're doing is you're putting the four of us together on a track where we can probably be on Bluetooth phone or whatever, or Wi-Fi, I don't know, and just be chit-chatting with each other and actually hammering out on the track against each other, laughing and carrying on. But at the
Yeah.
same time, in a fun environment. And I think that's something that's missing. And I think, you know, thank you, Chloe, again for going that extra yard in our sport to bring us something that we never knew we needed until we knew it was there to be needed, which is great. Absolutely great. And
Yeah.
those
So
who
thank you.
don't know, Chloe had been working on something, and it's probably I shouldn't talk out of school, but you may be still working on it. Doing a heads-up display on glasses
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's on the desk as well. It's yeah, so I again came back to the idea that like I'm out training, I've got a draggy in my pocket, I've got a phone in my pocket. And if you're doing I think again I'm a little different to most people. I'll go out and do grid race or T race, and other people might go out and do 15 laps. I'll go out and do legitimately 100. Um, so I will do it until the board is like, flashing red on the remote and vibrating that the battery really needs to stop now. So, yeah. But what I find is if you're getting good laps and you're in a flow, you have to stop, pull your phone out of your pocket, have a look and see how you're doing. I wanted to know, how am I doing now? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
do I want to? I mean, it sounds a bit stupid to say it, but do you want to push harder on this corner, or do you, or are you ahead of your time? Are you lower than your time? I mean, why would you want to go slower on the corner? I guess I don't know, but again, I don't know.
Well,
Honestly, I think I saw an ad.
it's are you entering the corner in the right position? Are you exiting the corner in the right location? I think all that
Yeah,
information from the draggy and from Racebox, the information you get back is amazingly detailed. And if you can
yeah,
transport some of that to a head-up display in your glasses, like those of us who wear
yeah,
glasses, what the hell? I mean, it is
yeah,
next level sort of science fiction stuff, but hey, we're there, right?
yeah.
You
Look, you
being
can buy them off the shelf now. Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly right.
yeah,
And with Python script and so forth, and the APIs that you already know how to develop,
mm,
it's just coordinating the information, the appropriate
yeah,
information in a certain way to then push out what you want to acquire. Which I think,
yeah,
everybody out there is probably thinking this is, next level scientific wizardry. She's a cyborg or something, but no, it's doable with the right
yeah,
knowledge and ability. So follow the heads up display race line. Absolutely. Absolutely. Spot on, James. Chloe, don't stop doing what you're doing. The community needs you, needs everything you're doing for us, needs you on the track to push the limits and stuff. Don't ever stop wearing the purple sparkly shoes. I love it.
I have. I've already
It's
stopped. Sorry. The new board's
No.
red, so I had to buy red shoes to match it.
Red. That's it. We're going red. I don't care. I just want sparkly shoes. I think it's awesome, right? Because I know who you are straight away when I see a clip. It's, oh, Chloe's on. What's she done? And I was like, it's like Boy George's hats or something. You know, it's just it just attracts you straight away there. And so thank you for all that. I love it, and I love what you're doing. We have been going for 35 minutes. App Meta Display came out. You probably can talk
Yeah,
to
it's
that more than I.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I guess the idea with my display was that I wanted it to be, again, for the community, easy. And I mean, Meta displays are hundreds of dollars. They're not
Yep.
like out of people's price range entirely, maybe, but maybe they are to some people. So this thing costs all up around $40 to build.
Yep.
And all it does is I'm just streaming text to it from the phone. So it displays whatever text you want to display. In my case, lap delta and current speed, because you don't want too much. You don't want a whole bunch of information to distract you, right? So yeah, I think the Meta ones, they're interesting, but I didn't want like an 800 Australian dollar pair of glasses as an additional
Well,
cost for people.
Taz is going to Shenzhen in a few weeks, so you might want to ask Taz, hey, look for a pair of these for me, and
Yeah, they'd be interesting to play with for sure.
whatever he
Yeah,
buys, you'll find that just about everybody with us will probably buy the same glasses, so we can all see it when we get home.
yeah, perfect.
So it might take off with with whatever happens over there, because obviously being in Shenzhen, a lot of these head-up display glasses and are more readily available at much more affordable
Yeah,
prices. So,
100%. Yeah,
but
yeah,
the tech is, I suppose, what the reality of it is, the tech is coming and it's there, and you're already utilizing it for our sport and our community, which everybody's grateful for. And I know everybody's watching your posts. I mean, it doesn't get a lot of probably community pull through because there's only a small community in that racing environment. But those who get it are watching closely to see, okay, when can I acquire some of this or use this now? Because I think a lot of people are not into, it's fun to crash in 800
800.
glasses.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no thanks. And don't worry, wearing glasses when you crash if you don't have the right helmet. So those of you who do wear glasses, make sure you've got the right face protection in your shields, because if you're wearing motocross helmets, for example, and you're wearing glasses, I've done it before where the glasses have broken and I've ended up with a cut on my
Yeah,
cheekbone.
me too. On the
Yeah.
nose.
So, yeah, and also on the nose too. So make sure if you are wearing glasses, understand that if you do come down face first, those glasses can do a lot of damage. So yeah, even when I'm playing, sometimes I wear motocross goggles over my glasses. Kind of weird, but hey, it is what it is. Chloe, from here on in for you for OzPV and your riding and stuff, I mean, with the Vector coming through now, are you going to get the production version or the off the shelf version when it comes through? Or are they going to hopefully send you the updates for it, or what does that look like
Yeah,
for you?
possibly. So this either tomorrow or Monday. So it's a public holiday here on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
A friend and I, we've rebuilt the electrics. We just got to install them for the one I've got.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the one I've got here, it's basically got a variant of the Endeavour 4 Pro electrics, kind of. So insane torque, which is great for grid and T-race, but not a lot of top end, which isn't great for track racing.
Yep.
So we built a 16S 5P battery to chuck in it, and we're putting Maker X Vesk, and going to really crank up the amps and get that top speed and everything else
Wow.
going. So similar sort of thing to what we put in the Endeavour. My friend built the battery for me, but I'll do, I guess, the rest of the electrics. Yeah, he built it in a week. Amazing. So yeah, that's that'll really, I guess, up the game, which will let particularly people like Taz here get an even better feel for how does it go at really high speed, and what can we feedback to Propel about that, and then we can have a look at the next step from there.
Interesting, the conversations I've been having, a four-wheel drive racer versus a two-wheel drive racer, and the different feel understandings. A lot of people are saying who race four-wheel drive boards don't get the same feel as a two-wheel drive board. So it's interesting to see someone like Taz riding a from 4-wheel drive like your standard is, going back to a 2-wheel drive board and then giving race effect on that versus the way around. So, and it's interesting because I was talking to a couple of other people the other day in the US, same sort of scenario there, trialing out two-wheel drive boards versus the 4-wheel drive boards. And I think when you start getting into that pro category and they're running 4-wheel drive, it's a very different game because they're looking at that pull out of corners rather than the acceleration and so forth. So it tends to play around. I mean, I'm still running on my Stooge. I've got a 12S2P, so I'm running a very small battery setup on this. I don't know what I'm going to do for COFs, but I may have to think about that because it's probably not built for that bigger track speed. But hey, 4-wheel drive so much better. Yeah, look, for some people it is. I rode a 4-wheel drive board in Vegas a few years ago, and I couldn't. I struggled with the structure of the front end pulling too much. So there was too much amps going to the front, and there was too much power in the front. It didn't allow the rear to push enough. So I've got a very different mindset about it. But I haven't tried, the proper high-end 4-wheel drive board. So it's really interesting to see where the sport's going. And I think that we're going to have the stock racing boards with which Mo and a few others have put the Meepo hardware behind.
The Mohawks. Yep.
Mohawks, which is stock racing. I think Radium were talking about doing stock racing in Australia as well. But I don't know where that was a discussion even before Mo got in there, but just obviously Mo had the capital and worked it and made it happen, which is awesome. But it's interesting now to see what that stock race could become and continue, because it allows people to just race under ability. Rider weight does come into it, so I'm a bit of a hamburger eater, so I'm probably heavier than most, which is not good for me. But on the other side, it allows us to come up collectively together. Now, general riding. Do you still general ride, Chloe?
So that's another good thing about Perth. There's a really strong group ride community. If you're in Perth, I guess Esk8 community, there's probably a group ride, where they're permitting every week.
That's amazing.
Honestly, reality is I don't do a lot anymore, and there's a few reasons. First of all, my work is like 45 kilometers away. I'm not, and I got to drop kids off to school on the way, so it's not an option to ride to work anymore. And for those of you, I mean, you probably get a bit of this. I don't even know what the legal situation of e-skates in Victoria is, to be honest. But
I don't know. I'm not in Victoria, Chloe. I don't know what you're talking about.
But
I don't know. We're in Australia.
There's been a lot of negative press about e-skating. Particularly not e-skating. Sorry, mainly about e-bikes and scooters. But there's been a few sort of, the police call them blitzes and sort of thing, where they're looking for people riding devices that don't meet the law and are over, riding over the speed. So there's sort of, I've personally had a little bit less desire to put myself in that position where last thing I want is to get pulled over and have my board taken off me.
I think that's
a bit less than I used to.
In most states in Australia at the moment. There are conditionings around that, and I think what I'm seeing in Victoria and other states, New South Wales and Queensland to a point, there's a lot of a push to go into off-road trails and so forth to get into that environment more, which is awesome. I mean, in the UK, it's massive, and it's massive probably partially for that reason too. And I think realistically, we're going to see more and more off-road EUCs and e-skates and probably recreational registration on electric dirt bikes as well, because I mean the people who love it, the people who got the money to buy it and sustain it will go that way, where the kids who are, unfortunately, a lot of the youth in Australia is causing a lot of grief in that riding on roads and amongst cars, and unfortunately there are deaths happening, which is the sad part of this, around the country through irresponsible PEV riding. But on the other side of it, there is amazing communities of people who are trying to do the right thing, trying to stay away from trouble and trying not to do the wrong thing. But the laws are honestly continuously contracting around that, and it is inhibiting the responsible riders as well, which is challenging for all of us. So, people ask, why do you get behind the racing? Because the racing allows people to do it in an environment that's controlled, potentially
Yep.
safer. There aren't any peripheral and devices or vehicles or anything else around you. There's no street signs. There's no pedestrians, and you can go and play freely with friends and have a great afternoon or something, and
Yep.
grab a bite to eat afterwards. And I think it's the responsibility of community across the world will probably track more into that off road and also the racing long
Yeah.
term until there's global acceptance of PEVs and the conversation comes back to a more responsible conversation than the
Yeah.
hey,
Definitely.
this guy's going out on group rides and there's 12-year-old kids getting knocked down on their electric bikes and stuff through
Yeah.
stupidity. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's a. I don't want to put a downer on this amazing chat we've had, but it is something that highlights what we're all doing currently. And I do have the responsibility, like you, 50Ks every morning and every night, and kid stuff is challenging. Life is
Yep.
challenging, but you're still riding and you're still finding time for it. Chloe, I got to say, where do you see the trajectory of your racing going? With obviously you're building a board to kick my backside all over the track, which is great. I'll hopefully I'll be chasing you around the track on the weekend, on that weekend in August. What do you think the long term trajectory for Chloe is in the racing?
Long term's hard to say. I'm getting old, and when you fall at my age, God, it hurts. Hey, um, so I break, I shatter so easily. But look, I'm enjoying it for now. I, at the moment, you know, if you look at my grid times 5 months ago to now, there's a substantial difference, and it's not, the vectors helped. Obviously, getting on an actual race board has helped, but even on the Endeavour, I've sliced, I think, all up in each direction about 11 seconds off my first
Wow,
time. Um,
wow,
so collectively 22 seconds in counterclockwise and clockwise added up. So that's
that's amazing.
a fair bit. Well, I also started off with pretty bad times, so let's factor that into it.
Hey,
Um,
none of that, not at all. We all start off with a time. It's not a bad time. It's our time. All right, and the practice gets our time better. So, and
yeah,
I think that the one thing that I always say to myself, I'm not racing anyone else. I'm racing myself. It's
yeah,
when I used to play golf. I'm not trying to beat everyone else's score because they're people that have been playing for
yeah,
30 years. How am I going to do that?
yeah. It's
I'm going to
right.
go out and try and
That's
beat
exactly
my
right.
scores. So I think, and the love of the community you've got is supporting of you chasing your times, not chasing anyone
Exactly.
else.
Yeah, you're not chasing. Yeah, I mean, and look, chasing anyone else is pointless because first of all, some of the best riders in the world are here, but even still, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all different people. We've all got different backgrounds and time commitments and ability and
No, and my thing is,
ages. Yeah,
if you want to chase Taz and Jeff and Dylan and stuff, grab a rope, tie it to them, and hang on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, look, I mean that's not where I'm aiming. I'm coming to Coffs. I'm going to give it a crack. Sitting on the sidelines and doing the timing and waving the flags and all that sort of stuff, it's nice, but you're not really as much of part of your day as the people on the track. So I wanted to get out there and have a go. I did at the last races, just like spur of the moment. There was place on the grid, and I just thought, oh, screw it, I'll just get on the grid and go around with everyone else, even though,
And
yeah,
all the power to you. You did amazing. You really did,
yeah,
and the
it was
results
fun.
speak
It
for
was a lot of
themselves.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, the board top speed with the electrics and it was nearly half everyone else's top speed, but I still had fun. Somehow didn't come last.
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't know, but I had a good time, and
Yeah.
I was just I went into it with a almost like a, well, this is just a bit of a laugh, a bit of a joke attitude, and I honestly I had a ball. I had a really good time just getting
Yeah.
out and being on the track and realizing how much it's going to hurt your legs to do 3 laps. Because God,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
Hey, like,
That's
I was
what
hobbling
I'm
around for the week. Yeah,
Yeah, I've not been told that. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, 1 lap's good. Try doing 6 laps."
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
really?
God, yeah,
How bad is that? And everyone has said to me, 6 laps, you'll feel pain in your legs that you haven't felt in
yeah.
your
They're
life.
shaking, and so your legs are shaking, and yeah, it's yeah, because you're kind of sitting in a squat for like several minutes. Yeah, it's not easy,
Yeah,
especially if you haven't
yeah,
exercised.
yeah.
But
So
it's
bring on the
fun.
plank, bring on the leg exercises.
Yeah, yeah. I got to start doing
Considering
something.
taking over 50, it's going to hurt me too. So I'm excited to meet you in face to face in person in August. It's going to be great. But also to have some fun out there. And as I said,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what it's about.
in Australia taking home sheep stations. I'm just out there to have some fun and meet the community. And also,
Yeah,
you know that I love recording video of everyone having fun. So that's my thing. So I'll be doing lots
yeah.
of that. Um,
And those are the best videos, honestly. If you look at the events, we have these great race videos and drone footage, but it's the sort of cuts with people laughing and chatting with each other. They're the ones that are nice to watch. Yeah,
yeah, well, it's the community
yeah,
gathering, and I think it's what grows our support, our sport, and the support within it is the community rallying together and having fun, and I'm very lucky and fortunate in my position that a lot of people message me all the time asking me how I'm going, what's going on in the community, what's latest, Craig, and it's like I, I'm just talking amongst friends most of the time. So for me, it's just
nice.
it's joy. So and it's a global community, which is even better. Um,
Yeah,
Chloe,
beautiful.
I'm going to give you a bit of a thing. Obviously, there's a question Suki's going to throw up in a minute, but I want you
Mhm.
to hang on before Suki gets there. She's already given the question. Damn it. I want to know from you. Is there anything else that you want to see from the community, or that you think the community could do to help the sport move forward?
I think probably as a community, what we need to do is be more proactive with legislators and so on to make sure that we aren't clamped down on as a result of other things. I think we're seeing it in Australia. I know some people are seeing it in other places around the world. I mentioned it before. There is a bit of a pushback against PEV and obviously, racing on private property on tracks, etc., isn't directly impacted by that, but we need to engage. So, I mean, the guys here, the ESRA crew, we went and gave a submission and a talk to the government on
Yeah,
this. And I'm not suggesting everybody does that, but I think that's probably one of the challenges we face is we want to make sure that this sport and this recreation of just street riding and having fun is not taken away from some people in some places.
yeah,
So definitely, I think as a community, we need to bear that in mind when
yeah,
we go out and ride. I know there's a lot of people that go out and like to just have a lot of fun, and more power to them. But you got to do it in a way that isn't going to penalise everybody else.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I guess that's probably something that we need to face together as a community, which is difficult because when you got loads of individuals, everyone's an individual, and everyone's going to have a different attitude on that. But
yeah.
I
No,
think,
I completely agree. And I think the
yeah,
other thing is people are very hesitant to put their hand up and say, "Hey, we need to lobby the government, or at least give them our opinion," because as soon as they
yeah,
give them their opinion, they're afraid that, hey, I'll be targeted by the police and they'll know that I ride these things, therefore they'll hunt me down and arrest me or charge me, and it's that, I suppose, that negative thinking or that negative connotation that's behind it that puts fear in everyone's mind to get involved in the legislation, or try and make alternatives. I mean, in states that I've seen so far, unfortunately, the lycra wearing bike riders have the say,
yeah,
and they inhibit thought the thought of tomorrow. They're actually stuck in yesterday, and I refer back to the whole adage: snowboarding in snowfields was alienated and rejected so horribly and violently in the day that skiers were the only ones that should be on mountains. It
yeah,
took 8 years of manipulation and force, basically, for snowboarders to say, we're paying money too. Leave us alone. We've got money to come and spend here. Let us on the mountain, and eventually they gave in, and the snowboarders,
yeah,
got there. But I think we're in the same sort of mentality that lycra is the only place or people that can use these pathways, and it's not progressive. It's very rejective, and it's very backward thinking. And as I said, it's 1950s sort of behavior, not 2026. And I think
Yeah.
nationally, individually, globally. The world and the governments globally, local governments, larger governments, police departments, communities, community events, social people have to start adhering to the youth. And not just that, I mean, there are a lot of people, our 40s, 50s, 60s, that are
Yeah.
actively involved in the communities of riding the PEVs as well. So I just want to go back to, yes, Full Send Racing was on last weekend in the US.
Yeah.
I did see a comment. It was epic. And if you haven't seen the battle with Morgan Brady
Oh,
at the end
so
of that,
good.
it
Yeah.
was so good. The footage is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Even to go back and look at, yep, thank you so much for that comment. The footage of Morgan Brady on those big go-kart wheels, just chasing down. It was just, and Morgan's. I'm a massive. I'm fanboy of Morgan's for a long time now. So I do apologize, but it was just great footage, and even Morgan's footage that he released or put up on Instagram from
Yeah.
his board view around in between
Yeah.
those big wheels that look like
But the
it
big
looked like
wheels, yeah. Looks like a
big
car.
wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like cameras stuck between two hamburger buns. It's
Yeah.
just running down the track at a million mile an hour. It looks great. Looks
Yeah.
fantastic. So
Yeah. Check
yes,
it
that was
out.
good. We'll get into Suki's question now. She'll
Yeah.
throw it back up here any second because she's listening to me in the background. Um, it is the big question that everybody prepares for,
I haven't
and
prepared for it.
she's not listening. She's given up on me. I've had enough of you, Craig. Well,
Yeah.
until we see
It's
it
all good.
again. Chloe, with your racing and so forth, have you tried different tires and things? Because I know that the whole
Yeah.
conversation
Yep.
about tires. What is your preference so far? Have you tried the Stooge wheels, or have you Lin Power wheel? What are you running, or what are you thinking about?
Depends on the surface. So tomorrow we're not racing, we're training at high voltage, which is a indoor track, smooth concrete.
Yep,
So for that, um, most people go Novas.
yep,
So I'm going to try 6-inch Novas for the first time there tomorrow.
okay, yep,
Um, in this photo here, those are the X-Way racing tires.
yep.
They're really good on asphalt or bitumen or tarmac, whatever people want to call that. They're excellent on that. To me, they were awful on smooth concrete. I felt like I was on ice skates.
So is
Other people did,
high voltage
yeah,
painted, or is it just polished?
polished.
Okay.
So obviously on the Endeavour, I rode mostly on 8-inch Novas, which I have
Yep.
mixed feelings on. They're really good under about 40. They're not so good over 40 because they're a little bit uneven, but the
Cool.
6
Yep.
inches and the 7 inches are really good.
So
And
balance wise, obviously, without weights and stuff, the balance is okay on these tires. I mean, the Novas are pretty good from what I know as far as balance.
I think I've never tried the 6 inches, so tomorrow will be my first time on them. I believe that they're pretty good.
Yep.
The 8 inches, the balance is probably not as good as it could be.
Yep.
But the grip is superb. But I think that's unique to the 8-inch Novas.
Yeah.
Those X-Ways that I've got in that picture there, they're really good. They're semi-hot melt, so if you do a few laps, you do a bit of warm up, they get really sticky, and you've got just amazing grip. Really, really good
Okay.
grip.
Wow.
So
And I think
yeah, quite like
this
them.
this is the learning of like-minded people in your community to spend time with, learn a bit more. And I think, people out there who are not racing don't sort of think about tires being in the right frame of mind and all the rest of it, but the temperatures and the wear and it all comes into play. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and
I
you burn
wait to
through them. They're expensive. You go do 100 laps on grid, and your tires don't last long. I'm burning through a set in about, honestly, 2.5 months. A set of tires, which is expensive. Hey,
yeah.
I'm lucky my family puts up with all this money I'm pouring into this. Yeah,
Example A, Exhibit A. I'm going to
answer
run
this
this
question.
question now. Can you
Yeah,
read that? In 100, if
yeah,
150 years science fails,
yeah.
what?
A book about my
Let's
life. What would the title be? I haven't given it any thought. So why don't we say the title will be? I'll get to it later. So, and what would the
go.
blurb tell us? I don't know. We're still writing that story, aren't we? So, who knows? Who knows what tomorrow brings and what the what the next 50 years will be like, I suppose, for this life. But I don't know. I think I've been lucky in my life that I've got to do and experience a whole bunch of different things. I don't know. I'm not going to give a direct answer to what would be in the blurb because I don't know. It's hard to talk about yourself, but we're still writing that story. So
Yeah,
we'll answer
I
that
think
later.
it's realistic as well. I think it's very hard to. I mean, my blurb changes every time I look at that question, and I thank you, Suki, for keeping it going because it's a great thing to think about. My blurb changes all the time.
Yeah.
You know, with the struggles
Yeah,
of
as it
today
should.
won't be the struggles of tomorrow, and then tomorrow you wake up and go, "I'm having a great day, loving life,
Yeah.
exuberance, blah blah blah," and then it's like the next one is like, "I'm so fortunate for all the people that have come into my life all the time through my community and through my." I mean, and you could just keep writing a blurb every day, really,
Yeah.
and it's about living our best lives, I suppose, and it's good. Chloe, my final last question for you, and then you can tell us anything before we wrap up.
Yeah, sure.
As far as the female races, and I'm going to talk to the female races. My one of my child is a them they, and they skate with me all the time, and
Mhm.
um, that person's amazing in my life, and I'm so grateful for them riding with me from when they want to. For the female community and the them theys and in people, all the nondescript people out there, what did you say about getting into this sport if they're considering it?
Look, obviously, I'm going to be encouraging that you go for it. I have to say, the community, if you're not male, if you don't identify as a sort of a cisgendered male, going into a highly male-centric environment is something you, I guess, learn over your life is maybe something that isn't going to be the best of experiences. I haven't found that to be the case. The Esk8 community is very welcoming, and I think skateboarders in general, maybe not always, but they can be quite, welcoming and accepting and understanding that everybody's at a different skill level. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee, and every time I drink milk, my throat gets like this. So it's like you were saying before, it's not about, competing with everyone, it's about competing with yourself. And I think as long as you are part of a community and you're contributing and you are showing people that you're making an effort to better yourself and to just have fun and to lift people up, then everyone is very welcoming to you. And my daughter actually has a skateboard now as well. So I won. You remember when Evolve used to give away like once a month a board? I
Yeah,
actually won one of them. My feet are on it at the moment. Actually, it's a GTR2.
that's
And
amazing.
so I was I was just going to keep it and play with it, but no, my daughter said no. Actually, I want that. So she comes out and rides now and then. So she's 17, and she gets her friends and gets friends from school and takes them around the park. And one of them's actually got a T race time. So on her
Amazing.
very first ride, she said yeah, because I was practicing T race, and she said, oh, I'll have a go. So yeah, look, I would encourage you to give it a try and to at least come along and see what it's like. Yeah, going into any sport you've never done before is intimidating because um, when you're an adult, you're not used to being a beginner at things all over again, are you? Um,
Absolutely.
Especially if you're an older adult and you're established in your career or whatever it is you're doing. You're used to being comfortable and confident and competent, and then to go to something where you're an absolute beginner again is a little bit fish out of water experience. So there's all these
Absolutely.
factors for men, women, anyone going into that environment. But I would say if you enjoy riding, you're probably going to enjoy riding with other people a lot more than just by yourself. So give it a
Yeah.
go.
I think it's amazing. My eldest, her, sorry, they and I jump on the board sometimes, and we actually, she's goofy, I'm natural, so we actually face each other, and we go on a 7-8 kilometer an hour skate together, and we just
Yeah,
talk for an hour, and there's no
yeah,
there's no barrier between us. We actually can openly have a chat, and
yeah,
nothing's off. when we're skating, nothing's off limits. We are open
Yep.
conversation, and there's no fear of anything else, and we can be completely truthful, and it's a great conversation. And it's the moments every month or so when we do it, or month or two when we do it, it's my highlight of that period, because it is
Yeah.
just surreal. Surreal to
It
have that
is. It's a
conversation
real
with
mental health thing. I think. I think.
absolutely.
How many people have said that they e-skate for their mental health, and I definitely
Oh,
do. I definitely do.
I,
I mean,
I go out when
yeah,
the sun is not up and it's dark out, and I go down a pathway and I disappear, and then I go and grab a coffee, and just as I'm grabbing a coffee, I'm skating back with the coffee and the remotes, and I'm like drinking my coffee, doing maybe 10 kilometers an hour, not even caring, and it's the best moment of my day some weekends.
it
It's
is.
amazing.
It is.
It's amazing.
You don't have any other worries when you're worrying about smashing your face into the ground. So it's, you know, it's
Breaking your ankle.
liberating. And yeah, it's freeing. All your other problems are put to the side when you're on the board.
Oh, look, one of my
Yeah.
heroes at the moment on Esk8 is James Buddy Cook. He's a propel and
Yep.
tiny rider over in the US.
Yep.
Um, he's in his 60s. He is one of my heroes. I love watching him ride, and he's had some absolutely epic ones over the last few years. But he gets out there, smile on his dial, and he goes and just
Yeah.
goes out there in full send all the time, and I love it. It's just great. Anyway, Chloe, I'm going to wrap up and leave it at that. Thank you so much. If you're not following Chloe, get on Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
Chloe.is.skating.
Yep.
Chloe is
And
skating. Yeah.
look out for the old videos and reels and stories of the purple shoes, and we're moving to red shoes. So
Yes.
I look forward to that. Thank you again so much for coming on, and thank you, Suki and Esk8 UK Live
Yeah.
Experience,
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
me.
Um, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to meeting you in August at Oz PV Nationals, where
Yep.
it's going down.
Everyone sign up. If you haven't signed up, do it now because tickets are limited. And the more we
Battle
know,
Royale out there for you, me
yeah,
and Scott.
yeah,
Just joking. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm so looking forward to catching up with everybody and having a coffee and just saying good day. My mate
yeah,
Clayton
it's
in
going
New
to be
South
great.
Wales, who was over there. I'm catching up with Dylan again soon. Liam. It's just the network of friends that across Australia and overseas that we're lucky enough to be part of. And
Yeah,
you know,
Clayton's good
guys,
value. He's a good guy. Yeah,
and all the crew from
yeah.
Esk8 UK as well. I mean, we are just so fortunate for our community. So thank you very much, Chloe. Until next time, please remember always stay upright, keep smiling. Thank you, everybody. That's us
Thank you.
out.
Have a